23 items overall, and 8 of them, so like a third of them, are surfaces. We don't get any chairs. Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Cinderellimouse and today we're going to be reviewing the Sims 4 Artist Studio Kit, courtesy of the EA Creator Network, who do provide me with codes for the Sims 4. And stay tuned because I may or may not have a giveaway code in this video. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. I'm giving this pack a 6 out of 10. Now I was actually really excited to see this one because it's very much my kind of theme. I love artists in the game. I love anything to do with crafting, creating, that kind of gameplay. So to have a pack that is around that theme and kind of supports that, I was really excited for that. There's a few items in here that I am genuinely excited for and I'm really happy to see. So like the star of the show for me is getting a new woodworking bench, because we've only had this base game woodworking bench. I thought we had one other one, but I can't find it. So I think that the only woodworking benches that have ever existed since the base game is this one. So really nice to get a variation on something that we've had since the base game, so we're not forced to use this one all the time. And again, it is a different style. It looks a little bit more modern, a little bit more clean looking. This definitely looks a bit more like a shed shop class DIY kind of design, what do we call it, design tech in the UK. Yeah, it looks a bit more hardware woodworking, where this one does look a little bit softer, a little bit more arts and craftsy. So I like that they've gone for a different like theme and vibe with it. I also think this fits in quite well with kind of base game items. Let me just actually get rid of that and then grab it again so you can see some of the color swatches. I think it fits in with like the base game, like, is it called like the modern style that we have? Moderna or something like that. There's some really nice colour swatches there as well. I like the variations. And I really like, well, dark wood is my favourite. I really like dark wood and this kind of like natural brown. And then having like the option to have the paint splashes on, I think is really cool as well. And I love that style, like kind of like rustic, make do and mend, kind of messy style. It really appeals to me. So yeah, excited to have that. What I would say about this, and what I would say about a few different items in this pack, for example, like this industrial spotlight, and let me talk about the positives with this first. So I really like the style of this lamp. It looks very modern. I think it'll fit in with a lot of different homes. I'm quite excited to have it. But if we kind of look at some of the colours, yeah, it's got quite modern colours. I like the kind of more like dirty rustic style as well. My criticism with this and with this table here is that they look quite low poly. They look quite low quality. So for example, this paint can should be round, right? But it's not round. It's kind of like, what is it, hexagonal shaped? Yeah, the quality to me does look a little bit low. So especially, like, I'll explain what I mean with this light. So if you look at this light, the design of it is very nice, but I do feel like if you compare here where this clasp is, it does look a bit painted on. And then especially the quality of this light bulb, it's not round, it's kind of hexagonal shaped. It looks very big and bulbous like my nose, and it's just, it doesn't look transparent. It looks like plasticine-y. And then if you compare it to, whoa, if you compare that to something like, if I can just get my camera like straight, if you compare that to something like this beautiful light, which is one of my favorite lights in the entire game from Laundry Day stuff. It's very simple, and look at the quality of that bulb and the quality of that kind of fixture with the little screw in, and if you compare that kind of side to side to the lamp that we got in this new pack, where you would expect the quality of things to increase over time, I feel like there's been a quality drop there. And what's that about, Sims team? Like what is that? Why? Explain yourselves. So yeah, I would say that's an issue for me, where the quality looks a bit lower than I would have perhaps liked. And then you go to items like this, where I adore this backdrop. I think this is really, really gorgeous. I like these kind of drapes and backdrops in the game. I do use them. So for example, I might use this, yes, in an artist studio. Say for example, I'm doing a still life painting, a portrait painting of another sim. This would be a beautiful backdrop. It looks very elegant. She's very demure. She's very cutesy. And I really, really love the texture. The Sims team have been getting so good at fabric textures recently, if you pay attention, because I think that if you look at the base game, there's a lot of these kind of like plasticky looking textures that don't actually have any texture. They're just kind of like a one coating of paint with a bit of shading. And then to get actual fabric textures like knitwear, you know, cotton twill, what else, linens and things like this. This looks quite like a linen texture to me, or a cheesecloth kind of texture. Not cheesecloth, is it? No, like a linen texture. And so I think that is awesome that the Sims team are really getting good at fabric textures. So whoever's on that, you're doing great. I appreciate your faces. It's like, it looks a bit more realistic, you know, a bit less plasticine-y. So yeah, I would use this, for example, if I was doing kind of like a portrait painting of a sim. I would use this if I was I'm just trying to get to a space so I can show you the swatches. I would look at how elegant that looks. And you could even use this as like a window cover. You could use this as like, you know, as a curtain as well. You know, if you kind of like messed around with Moo. I don't want to do it right now, but you can mess around with Moo and kind of like raise that up and just have that as kind of like, you know, covering your windows. And so, yeah, or even like, you know, if you were doing like a fashion store, you know, that could be something, or like a modeling shoot, that could be something that the models step behind, like a partition to kind of like get changed quickly. Like you could, in a theater, in like, you know, your actors could use that. I love the grips as well. Like I used to be a visual merchandiser, and those kind of like big grips. Yeah, I use those a lot. So nice touch. Yeah, as well, like say you've got Moschino, like, and you're doing photography, but you don't want that like really kind of bold backdrop from the Moschino kit. You could switch it out and have something like this. You know, you could use this for your prom photos. You could use this for your wedding photos. You could use this, you know, if you have Get Famous and you've got somebody doing this, you know, somebody who's kind of like making videos and making content, you know, you could use that as backdrop for them. I wish I had like a green screen, by the way. I do not have space. Yeah, like I could think of so many ways that I could use that, which brings me to one of my complaints about this kit. Again, I'm giving it a 6. Like, it's very hit and miss. It's not even hit and miss, it's kind of mid for me. It's like, I want to love it, but then I'm like, why? You know, that is one of those packs where I'm like, I'm excited to get it, and then I think that could have been better. I would have done this, that would have been better. So I've got a lot of notes basically for this pack. So one of my notes is that these items, we get quite a few of these kind of clutter items. The size feels a bit all over the place. I don't know, like these are huge and then these are tiny. And then like this as well. So my complaint with these is that I don't really like it when items come cluttered together. I prefer it when we get separate items because I find it more versatile and get more use out of it. So for example, I'm only going to use this if I, say I have a sim who's decorating, I might use this, or if I'm doing graffiti, or if I have an artist studio, I might use this clutter item, but it's very big. I'm going to assume if I grab a surface, of which there are many in this pack, we'll get to that later. If I go ahead and grab, I just want to get a surface that, you know, you can likely place a lot of stuff on, like a table. Let me go back to Artist Studio there. Can you place this? No, so you can't place this on a surface. It only goes on floors. Can I place this on a surface? Yes. Can I place this on a surface? Yes. I'm assuming I can with this as well. So those 3 can go on surfaces, but this huge item can only go on the floor, and it feels like it's going to clip a lot, right? It's going to be quite hard to place because it's so big and bulky. So I can't even get it close to other things like that. I can't get it even like there, right? Unless I use Moo. It looks quite, again, like this kind of like hexagonal shape. It looks quite, maybe it's not the highest quality item that we've ever had in the game. I don't know, like, I feel like, so my thing with this is, I feel like we've got items like this already from other packs. So things like University Life, I think, came with things like this as well. Probably Get to Work probably came with things like this. I know that I have clutter like this in the game already, so I'm not excited for it because I'm like, that feels like something I already have. And then on top of that, like, because, like, especially things like this, because it's grouped together, like, I'm not going to get as much use out of that as I would had they given us individual items. So say, for example, they've given us an individual paint can, just a paint can with lots of different colour swatches. I could have used that in a store. If I have, so for example, I do have an artist in my game, in my own personal game, and she runs an art supply store, and she has an artist studio where she teaches art. So I could have used that in her artist store, in her supply store, and I could have had like paints lined up on a shelf. You know, one of the things I do like in this pack, just to kind of continue this kind of thought, is this notorious slop sink. So immediately when I saw this, it reminded me of like when I used to work in a school, after my kids had done like art sessions and I was cleaning up, and how dirty that kind of industrial sink would get. So this is perfect, like for you know, art schools, for like actual schools if you've got high school years. Really, really nice. It's unique. I don't have anything like this already, so to have something like that, it's giving me something new. It's giving me something interesting to work with. Again, I do feel like it's a little bit maybe basic looking. It could have been a little bit more detailed. It's a little bit too base game for me. I think the quality could have been better. Another thing as well is we can actually, if this was a sink, we can actually place small items on the corners of other sinks. So I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around with a lot of thoughts. Let me finish one thought before I go on to another. So with this reminding me of working in a school and like, you know, school sinks and kind of like washing up after an art class, it reminded me of like poster paint. So if we'd have got like those big, like a single thing of poster paint, I could have used that for so many things. I could have used that for my own children at home, kind of cluttering up the dining table when they're doing their arts and crafts. I could have used it on the side of, you know, the arts and crafts table that kids use. I could have used it in a school setting for high school years. I could have used it in an artist studio. I could have used it in a store. I could have like lined them up and sold them to people. There's so many ways that I could have used a single jar of poster paint or a single kind of tub of paint. I could have used that in DIY stores, but because I could have used it if like Sims were refurnishing, but because they've chosen to give us these bloody clutter items, these group items, I just don't think I'm going to use them that much because they're so similar to what we already have. So disappointed because I feel like there was a wasted opportunity there with those. And then going back over to this sink, so if I compare this to like other sinks in the game, let's jump over to where am I? Plumbing. Where are you? Why can't I see plumbing? There it is. So if I jump over to this sink, I think that if I get something like, so for this toothpaste from one of the other clutter kits, so do you see what I mean? It's like normal sinks have slotting behaviour, so I could clutter that with whatever I wanted. Say that was a bottle of poster paint, I could put my bottle of poster paint there, Sims team, but you didn't let me do that. I could put soap there, right? And this soap is really nice as well. This is quite a high quality soap. So if you compare it to this, I can't slot anything onto there, right? And like I can't choose what soap goes on there. So I just feel like, you know, they've not thought about it in that way. Like, why can't I clutter it myself? Why is it this big dobby object? Where, you know, you have packs like this, and like shout out to Simguru Ash, because I know Simguru Ash, she really got it, right? So, you know, these kind of like solo mugs, I do feel like this pack could have come with more colour options than it actually did. But like these solo clutter items, I get so much use out of. Like these items I use all the time. They're so helpful. And so individual items I get so much more use out of than these kind of like big dobby like group clutter items that I can't really do as much with. So like, see what I mean? So like growing together, you know, we get like art supplies with growing together already that are kind of like cluttered. So, you know, where things like this here, like, and this is another kit, this is where the kits have done it really well. So going to I forget all the kit names, let me just kind of look at them. Bathroom clutter kit, Greenhouse Haven came with some really cute items. What else as well? Like a basement treasure. Like there's some really good items that have come with kits. Like these teeth in a jar. They're just great. And then what was I actually specifically looking at there before I kind of like went off on one again? There was like a bottle, wasn't there? There was like a wine bottle. That's what got my attention. This one here from the bistro kit, really, really nice. I could sell that. I could have a liquor store and like line those up on shelves, you know? And so like to have them get it, to have them understand, and to have them do these things and then go back to like old behavior, like old base game behavior. I'm like, why are you doing that when you've done it so much better since? Like, why are you going back to those old behaviors? And so, for example, if I go over here and I go to, I remember specifically James Turner giving this feedback when we did Jungle Adventures. He made a video about it and he was complaining about, let me go to Jungle Adventures. Jungle Adventures, where are you? And this, like, think about how long ago Jungle Adventures came out, and the Sims team listened to this feedback, right? Because we had this potted jungle plants thing, and it's like, yeah, it's cute and everything, but I would use those items more if they were individually, like, individual items. So the Sims teams listened. I'm sure it was James, and we got, like, you know, the separated items, and it's like, if you still want to group them, you can go ahead and group them, right? But we're getting more for our money. That person, like, whoever modeled this, whoever made this, whoever designed this, whoever made it, whoever modeled it, they had to model these 3 items individually anyway. So why can't we just have them as separate items? Because I use, personally, this one here, I use this all the time because you can just like size it down, you can slot it into like smaller spaces. It's just really, really usable, right? Where if they give us this big bulky item, it's like so much harder to place and use. It's so much more restricted. So for them to go back to that kind of like clutter behavior, I'm just like, why would you do that? Another example, this shelf here. So for example, this shelf, if this was a separated item in the style of, let me go to, let me just get rid of Jungle Adventures, in the style of, you know, what pack was this? What pack was this? This is high school years. So high school years got items like this, which I think are really, really useful. And we also had Tiny Living. So Tiny Living also came with these kind of like, you know, sectional pieces. They're so, so useful. So had this here just been this top section, I would have got so much use out of it, especially if they made it the same size as these pieces. Like you could slot that in, for example, with if you had like kitchen counters, you could go ahead and have like you know, kitchen counters, and, you know, have these like in between the kitchen counters. Let me get rid of them to show you what I mean. Do you know what I mean? It's like you could have that as like a shelf in between other shelves. That's not the best example I could have given, but are you kind of like picking up what I'm putting down here? Like you could have slotted that in, you could have had a shelf at the top, but because they've made it into this one big dobby item, it's just restricted how much I'd be able to use that, because that in itself as a single piece would be so beautiful. I'd use it all the time, but because they've given us this kind of all-in-one thing, I can only use that if I'm doing an artist studio, right? Had this been a separate piece, I could have used that much more freely. I could have had that in a store, you know, if that was a separate thing. If that was like, all I wanted from this was like paint palettes, like give me a box of paints that I could sell in a store, in a paint supply shop. I could also use it to clutter all sorts of situations. One small paint packet, right? And then like the apron as well, like had that been a freestanding, I'm getting upset, had that been like a freestanding apron, let me just find what we do have in the game already. Aprons, where are you? You know, like this is 2, right? This is 2 together. But had that been freestanding like this, I could have used that in so many different situations. I could have used it in art classes. I could have used it in kitchens. It would have just been so much more functional, so much more usable. So if you want this, it is actually base game. But this one here, like it's a big item. It's like I can't put a counter under it because that apron's going to dip down onto it. It's fine, it's okay for what it is, but I just feel like it's very, very restrictive in its use. This here as well. So another complaint I have about this kit is if I show you, like, so if I go to this and I show you all the items that we get in this kit, I'm frustrated by it. This is why you're getting a 6 Sims team. So or like if I look at all the items we get in this kit, we get like what, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 items, 23 items overall, and 8 of them, so like a third of them, are surfaces. We don't get any chairs, right? So if I go back to what we do get with all these surfaces, I look at something like this and I think, well, that could have been a chair. You could have easily made that a stool, right? Why isn't that a stool? Like, instead of having 8 like surfaces, like, give me a stool. I do get that, like, you can put something like that on it. Like, it's cute, it's fine. Like, it's good for what it is, but I feel like on balance, this is not a balanced pack. Like, it's all surfaces and like grouped up clutter items. And then these items as well, these surface items, they're big, they're bulky, they're huge, right? I am very, very limited to, if I have a small place, and this again is like, learn the lessons and remember the lessons, Sims team. So we were like, I remember the community were really upset about things that were really big and bulky. For example, the cupcake machine, which, you know, they've listened to, and now we can make cupcakes in a normal oven. But when we first got the base game, most of the items were very, very large, right? And we were like, a lot of us like small, like cottage style homes. So for example, when we got Tiny Living, I was like, oh my God, they understand it. They get it. They're giving us small footprints. They're giving us single items. They're giving us, you know, multi-purpose items, you know, because big bulky objects, you're really limited to how many of these you can use in a lot, because, you know, they take up a lot of space and they're not functional other than a surface, other than I'm going to put a plant all the way up on top of that thing, you know, and this being a decorative item in itself, like, it has no functionality. So Sims team, instead of having all these surfaces, why couldn't this have been a wardrobe? Give me a new wardrobe, you know? Like, why can't that be a wardrobe? Explain to me, Sims team, you know? And like this as well, why couldn't this have been a bookcase, right? Like this, like, it's got books on it. Why can't that be a bookcase? Like, bookcases have shelves, bookcases have slots. So I just feel like they've not thought it through very well. And I do like these items for what they are. I do think they are, like, whoever created the style and the theme and the look of these items did a really good job. I think the execution of it does look very, very low poly and base games for me. I expect a higher quality at this point. What are we, 7 years into The Sims now? I don't even know, 10 years? I don't know how many years we are into The Sims. I've been playing it for too long. Too many years of my life have been not wasted. Wasting time is not wasted time. Invested in this game or spent in this game. But like, look here, like, I do like the swatches, right? I really love the idea of having the variant with like the painty, like the painted variant and the clean variant, the new variant and the messy variant. Really, really cool. Again, had they used this as something where if they hadn't cluttered that, like, if they're going to put the books on it, make it a bookcase. Otherwise, leave it completely blank and let me decide how I want to use this, because I could have used that as like, you know, as an actual step ladder for, you know, somebody who's doing DIY. Say I'm role playing as a sim who's just moved into a home and they're painting and decorating. Like, oh my God, peeling wallpaper. That would have been so cool if they'd had like peeling wallpaper and like rolls of wallpaper. Like, there's so many other things that they could have done that I think I would have got more use out of and that are more unique and more original. Like a compliment dream home decorator, you know, like in the decorator career, like going with like rolls of wallpaper and like, let me sell them in a wallpaper shop or a DIY shop. I just think, again, it's like it's meant to be our stories, right? And an item like this is conditional. An item like this is like, you can use this specifically if you are playing with an artist, specifically if you have an art studio. Like, this isn't really something you necessarily find in many stores. So it's like, I feel very limited by this pack, and I think that's what's upsetting me so much about it, because the items are nicely designed. I bet whoever drew them up, beautiful job. I see the vision, but then, like, why is it 8 surfaces? Why do we not get any chairs, right? Why don't I get any storage? So some of the things are wins for me, like getting a new easel. For example, is appreciated. I love a good easel. I think this is a nice design. It's different to what we already have. Cute. She's so cutesy. She's so demure. This, I think, could have been a desk, right? It's not a desk. It's just a surface. would have been more functional for me if it was a desk. You know, I do like the sink. Again, the artwork of this is very, very nice. I really like these. They overlap as well, so you can kind of like overlay them if you want to get like a cluttered look. What I would say about this is it would have been nice if they'd have done this in 2 pieces. It could have been one item, one actual object, but then with like more swatches, because we get 4 swatches, and I think had they had what they have but 8 swatches, and they'd had a left piece and a right piece, because we have that with some other items in the game. For example, if I just go to decorations, and I go to some of the other decals that we have. Let me just find what I'm kind of thinking of. So for example, this one here, Piece of the Prairie decals. It doesn't have to be one size. You just get a lot of different variation in here. So that would be really cool. And then things like, I know we have this elsewhere as well. Like this one here from high school years, really, really cool. So you get these items and you can kind of, you know, mix and match the swatches like that and kind of like clutter them together. And it's really clever. It's really well thought out, right? It's like whoever came up with that understands how people like to clutter in the game. You know, they understand how items can kind of be pieced together in that way, which is really, really cool. But so I feel like a missed opportunity here, only having like the 4 swatches of it. If I can find that and go back to it. Sorry, guys. So yeah, so only actually having the 4 swatches of this, I feel like there's a missed opportunity, because this could have come in like more pieces that we could have cluttered together, and it would have just been, you know, the shape of it would have been easier to mix and match and more versatile to kind of like do that layering and do that cluttering. But the styles are very, very nice. I do actually really, really like, you know, the variants that we have on this item. So we have this kind of like sketches, which I would love, like the idea of like this being actual sketches that they made when they were working on things in the game. Like maybe this is a sim, right? Maybe this is a sim that you know, was being developed for one of the packs. And so kind of, I keep doing that. So we have this kind of like sketch style, and then we have this style as well, which is kind of like still life paintings. We have this one, which I am excited. I'm excited for the Life and Death expansion pack, and I feel like this is on brand for that. So this is a little bit more spooky. You've got that picture of Grimm. You've got kind of like this kind of Joker style guy. I really like the Freezer Bunny opening the door to the monster. You've got that really cute crow with the key. Yeah, some really cute designs there. I think those are really cool, and I think it would have been really nice to have had those a bit more separate, just to make them easier to place. You know, maybe you haven't got a 2 tile space to place them in. You could have had like a 1 tile style over one of the beds, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, really, really cool. And then this one here, which is a little bit more surrealist. So you have different types of art styles depending on your artist, like what style is your artist creating. I would have loved to have seen more variants of that, but I do appreciate like the time and effort that would have gone into kind of creating all those individual items. So yeah, again, whoever's the actual artist, the designer on this pack, I think you've done a great, great job. I just like these as well. These are really cool, these kind of splashes. So we have things like this in terms of you know, these leaves and things. What is this? Is this like food? What even is this? Yummy synthetic food rug. These flower petals from other packs. So we have things like this in the game already. Confetti, and of course things like the scratches and the mold and things like that we can place down. This reminds me of parenthood. You know, when the kids are learning how to kind of like the kids go out and they start messing with flour, or they start messing with paints, and they make that mess on the floor. So it's kind of like having that, but being able to place it down ourselves. And I will get a lot of use out of these. I think these are really cool. I think these are really, really useful. I would have loved to have had a wall variant as well, for like if the kids are painting on the walls. But like look here as well, like here, like this is like when you're painting and you get like the ring around the cans when you put like the paint can on the floor, but I don't have a single tile paint can to put down because they've only given me clutter items. So again, like I do feel like there's missed opportunities with this pack, and that upsets me, because I would love to have given this a 10 out of 10 because I like the style, but there's so many things that I think they could have done better, and like so many things that I think they could have thought about that maybe they didn't think about, and like the execution of it could have been so much better. So again, we get like 2 of these, like 2 variants of this, which is fine, but I would have loved for one of them to have been a stool, right? So you can like have a stool next to your student, like for example, because like what if I wanted to Like, what if I was doing a portrait painting, right? So I would have it like this. Like, I can't because I've got too much stuff lying around. Move over, move over. Like, what if I was doing a portrait painting, right? So I'd have it set up like this, and then I'd want the sim I was doing a portrait of to be here. So they could be stood here, but I could also have them sat here on like a little stool, right? So it would have been nice to have had the stool version and to have had the the surface version. And this is cool. I do like this. I do like that, you know, I can kind of place all the different clutter on here to create those kind of like still life scenes. I think that's really, I do like this item as a functional item. I will use this. I like the purpose of it. But yeah, like, I think a little bit more thought could have gone into the balance of the pack and like the overall usage of it, you know, rather than kind of feeling very, very situational. This though, I love lilies. Lilies and roses are my favourite flowers, and I love the smell of them too. I know some people find them very, very sickly. And the nice thing about these lilies actually is I've been talking too much. It's been a long day. My kids are poorly. I've had to like run them to and from school. One of them, like, as I start, like, my first video on this, school rang, were like, your kid's sick, come and pick them up. Like, just a headache and a head cold. Yeah, I had to kind of go out in a full face of makeup, like, after just starting my video. So I'm kind of like a little bit all over the place. And I was going to record this last night, but I didn't get the code in time. The code came a bit late, and I was actually doing something with my kids' school last night. So yeah, I haven't had time until now, and I'm a bit scattered and off schedule, so please excuse me for that. Do you know what? This is a perfect time to go, hey, I've got a giveaway code. So thank you to the EA Creator Network for giving me a giveaway code for this kit if you want it, and you know, maybe you're waiting to get paid next week, maybe you can't afford it, maybe you know, food's expensive, guys. I don't know if you know this, electricity bills are expensive. We can't always buy every single kit, right? Some of us have to pick and choose. And I've been there in my Sims 3 days. I didn't have the money to buy every single, you know, store content that came along. So I know what that feels like, to be like, I really want that, and I can't have it right now. So if that's you, here's a giveaway code courtesy of the EA Creator Network. It's a one-time use code though, so not everybody is going to get this. Whoever sees it first, whoever gets to the EA app first and inputs it, that is the person who's going to get it. I do think it's available on another platform as well, but I'm not sure which. I'll try and remember to check that out and put it on the screen. So yeah, you just go to the app, insert the code, and if you're the first person to do it, you'll be the proud owner of the Artist Studio kit. So congratulations to you. If you have won it and you wouldn't mind putting down in the comments that you got it, just save other people some time, so they're not going trying to redeem the code when you've already got it. That would be appreciated, but you don't have to. I understand some people like to view and not comment. I understand if that's you. Not everybody has a YouTube account, so totally understandable. But if you get it, I hope you love it. I hope you are less grumpy about it than I am. I hope you give it a 10 out of 10, but I'm giving it a 6. Yeah, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me either. I do appreciate EA. I do appreciate that I am in, you know, a certain position where, you know, getting these codes for free and things like that is really cool, and I do appreciate that. I don't want to be biased about my opinion though. If I think something could be better, I'm going to say that it could have been better. I'm not going to say I love something if I feel like I've got feedback to give. So hopefully I'm not biting the hand that feeds me, and EA still appreciate me as much as I appreciate them. Yeah, all that good stuff. So jumping back into it. Oh, as well, if you are getting the code, if you are getting this kit or any Sims pack and you want to use my creator code, it's Cinderellimouse. So Cinderella with an I and mouse all in one word. You can go and put that in on the EA app if you're making any purchases, and it just helps to support the channel. It just means I get a little bit of that money that you're spending rather than it all going to EA. So yeah, if you do that, it really helps me out and I appreciate it. And those of you who have done that, very unexpected. I didn't think anyone was going to use my code, so nice surprise. Thank you guys. I appreciate your faces. And yeah, let's get back into it. So I'm really excited for the new expansion pack, Life and Death. We don't know very much about it yet. We just had that little teaser on social media. But this, I feel, complements that pack because it's Lilium Mortem. So I think this is like, I got a first in classical Latin, guys, but because I don't use it very often, I'm very, very rusty. I think this is like the Lily of Death, or the death lily. The lily, a potent and symbolic image in many cultures. How will you choose to represent it in your work? Will it be fresh and fragrant and lush to comment on the beauty of nature, or will you pursue its dried and withering counterpart to reflect on the essence of life itself? I would love to get a skull. That a skull would have been really cool, because like in a lot of my favorite kind of art, actually, which is kind of like that kind of like really dark kind of what would you call it, Renaissance art style, they would have things like skulls to remind people of their mortality. That would have been a really cool item to have. But what I do like about this item, so you do actually, it does what it says on the tin, because you do get like the fresh version of it, like the fresh flower, really, really nice for like modern homes. I think it's really pretty. If you are getting lilies, be careful around cats. They are, very dangerous for cats. But you also get these kind of like broken, broken versions as well, which I think is really, really cool, actually. You can see like the leaves are falling off, the petals are falling off. And I love that you have those variations. I really like the more muted colours, and I do appreciate that you get the white and black. I really like the black with the white. I think that's very cool. So yeah, definitely nice complement to the theme of life and death there. And again, lilies. The lilies are very beautifully made, actually. I actually think these are really nicely done. The vase does look a little bit like it could be a little bit more detailed, but it's a nice item. I'm going to use this all the time in the game. Again, lilies are one of my favourite flowers. I love to have them around the house myself, even though like you have to watch your cats. But yeah, all good stuff. Okay, what else? Have I shown you most of the stuff in this pack now? I think I probably have. No, there's this as well. So this is an example of something I feel like the pack has done right. I would love to get more sculptures in the game, particularly sculptures that I can use in, maybe like a park, like public statues, or a museum, or an art gallery, or, kind of like civic buildings. I would love more of those kind of statues. I feel like, it is an area where I think there's a lot of opportunity in the game to get more variants of statues. But this is really cool because I like the size of it. I like that you can use it in an artist studio. I like that it goes on the floor and on surfaces. But I also think it could be really, really cool outside, outside an art gallery. If you sized it up, you could put it on like a platform. I can't do it right now because I don't have the space. Where is the space? So yeah, you could have it outside of a building as kind of like, an outdoor sculpture. You could have it in a park. You could also have it outside like a gym, or a wellness studio as a sign of like, hey, do you want to be in the best shape of your life, like that kind of advertisement and sculpture. So like this is really useful to me. I'll get a lot of use out of this. I think it's really cool. I like that I can size it up and down. So yeah, items like that are just much more useful to me than kind of like those cluttered multi-purpose items. Because if this had come in and if this had been like, oh, let's clutter it for the player, let's have it like this, and then let's have like this vase behind it, if it had been like that, like these grouped clutter items that they do, I cannot get as much use out of that. So Sims team, please, if you're watching this video, please listen to this feedback. Give us single items, because again, I think, the kits previously have got this really, really right, because I love items like this. I love to clutter things the way I want to clutter them. So having items with lots of slots, having items, like this single, because like if this came in this pack, this would have been like, oh, we'll have some folded laundry next to it, and we'll have this, and then we'll have a hat next to it, and I'm like, I can't use that as much now. You've just ruined that item for me. But like items where it's like a single item, I can clutter it, I can use it in small spaces. Like, let me clutter the way that I want to clutter. Let me group items together, please, Sims team, because we have Moo exists. So if I wanted to clutter things together, I can use Moo to place them, right? So like, yeah, please give us individual clutter items, Sims team, and think about how we can use them for retail. Think about how we can use them in different situations other than, kind of, again, like, look, we've got this stuff already. Like, we have this. I'm just mad because I would have really loved like a single paint can, or like, single tubes of, you know, like kids paint, poster paint, I'd have got so much more use out of that. So there are a lot of missed opportunities in this pack. I don't feel like the items are as high quality as they could be. I think there's a lot of potential that was missed. So as much as I do like certain items, such as, you know, I like the overall style of it. I like the lilies. I like this backdrop a lot. It's cool to get also things like another Creative Pro tablet. It's cool to get another workbench, because again, we don't have those in the game. I like the items for what they are, but I'm frustrated because I think the pack could have been a 10, and I think it is currently a 6, because not all the items are functional in ways that they could have been. You know, we get, like I say, we get 8 surfaces and no chairs. So I don't think the pack is balanced. I don't think the pack is reaching its full potential. Therefore, I'm personally giving it a 6 out of 10. Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. Are you getting this pack? Are you not getting this pack? Good luck to the person who gets the code. Well, good luck to all of you. Well done to the person who gets the code. And thank you to the Creator Network, as always, for giving me codes for this pack. I'm gonna go take a break and drink some juice and replenish myself and go and do the other kit review. Do take care of your faces. Have a good week. Use my code if you want to. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate you. Take care. Bye friends.